Hello, everybody. Matt Wright with Alliance West Mortgage here with your lender tip of the week. This week, I'm going to touch on the Fed, recession, interest rates, and why now is a great time to buy. So, last week at the G7 conference, Federal Reserve Jerome Powell stated that we now understand how little we understand about inflation. So, this is a pretty scary statement coming from the person that effectively controls the cost of money for arguably the entire world. For someone in that position of power to say something like that is it's just kind of crazy. I mean, I'm just kind of in shock that we would hear something like that coming from a Federal Reserve chairman. But in reality, in typical Federal Reserve fashion, the Fed is always too late, too little, or too much too soon. And so that's really what's happening here. Not once at this conference did they mention or take any responsibility for the amount of money that's been flooded into the system. And so, literally 3 months ago, the Federal Reserve was buying $120 billion a month in mortgages and government treasuries. There's been trillions of dollars of stimulus pumped into the economy. The Fed funds rate has been, interest rates have been at zero for 2+ years now. Not once was that mentioned. That's not the cause of inflation. What they do say is the reason: supply chain issues and the war in Ukraine. Does that have something to do with the inflation we're seeing? Absolutely. But all of it, not a chance. So either one of two things: either they just don't understand, or they just simply refuse to admit. So I don't know what it is, but it's very difficult to fix a problem if you don't really know what the problem is. So at least they know that inflation is an issue and they have to do something to get a hold of it. And so that process is underway through the different measures they're taking, with stopping their bond buying program, letting the balance sheet run off, and now we're seeing the rate hike cycle. So the question with this is what kind of damage that they leave in their path as we go through this process, which leads me to my next point of topic, which is recession. So the Fed members have never said that a recession is visible in the future. In a typical political fashion, they beat around the bush with pretty much anything that they are questioned on and admit to really nothing. And so, what's funny about this, or not really funny, but on Thursday of last week, the Fed Atlanta GDP model flipped Q2 GDP to negative. Now, we had negative GDP in Q1. The Fed's model now says that Q2 is looking like they're expecting negative. And by definition, 2 quarters of negative GDP is a recession. So we may very well be in the recession already. But if it's not now, it is coming. I mean, almost with certainty, it is coming. The entire global financial system is expecting it. You can see it, what's happening in all of the markets across the world. So we've seen $8 trillion wiped off the S&P 500, $2 trillion in the crypto markets, mortgage rates at 15-year highs, personal spending is slowing down, savings rates are going up. The next domino fall is going to be unemployment starting to tick up. So it's either here or it's coming. And so, these Fed rate hikes are really going to start to bite here. We had a 75 basis point hike 2 weeks ago. We got another one coming in July, either 50 to 75 basis points. More to come after that later through this year. So, as these rate hikes start to squeeze, the economy is going to contract, and, we're going to see the recession. It's just a question of when. So what does that do for mortgage rates? Well, historically, what we've seen with recessions is that during recessions, due to the fact that we see economic contraction, is that mortgage rates and government security and whatnot, they come down. And so mortgage rates are suited to come down as the economy continues to attract, as inflation comes down, because the Fed rate hikes are going to stop the borrowing, stop the spending, stop the growth, and that will squeeze inflation. And so as inflation comes down to where they want it to be, say between like 2 and 4%, that is going to cause mortgage rates to come down. So the forecast for the future, I'd say within the next 6 months, we'll see mortgage rates come down potentially considerably. So what does that mean for buyers in this market right now? There's an old saying on Wall Street that You buy when there's blood in the streets, and there is blood in the streets right now. I'm seeing offers entertained by sellers that would have just been tossed in the garbage just a month ago. 4 months ago, it wouldn't have been worth writing these offers. We're seeing buyers get price reductions, concessions, repairs. I mean, you name it, buyers are getting it. Buyers are getting the upper hand in these escrows or in these negotiation processes. And it's been great to see because we haven't seen it like this in a long time. And not only that, when we're pre-approving buyers, they're getting into escrows quickly. They're not competing with 20, 30 different buyers. It's just one in some cases. They're the only person making offers on these homes. So I know that there's a concern that, oh, the prices are going to collapse. It's just not going to happen. This inventory problem is not going away. Really no housing experts are expecting or forecasting any measurable decline in the housing market. So although we may be buying in a market with higher interest rates, buyers are getting a deal right now, and buyers have not been able to get a deal in a long time. So what happens down the road here, say 6 months from now, when mortgage rates come down? When mortgage rates come down, that creates affordability and will bring more buyers to the table. So if interest rates drop 1%, more competition for the same homes. So what happens when there's more competition for the same homes? Prices go up. So bottom line is that for a buyer in this market, you would be looking to refinance probably multiple times. So what you can do in this market is secure a price, a inflation protected price, because when you buy a property, you secure the price you pay then. You can always refinance. So refinance every time that would be a benefit for you to save money and put yourself in a better financial position. But you can never get yesterday's price. You can only get today's price. So long story short, the forecast for interest rates and mortgages is certainly that they will come down. And as rates come down, expect home prices to continue to appreciate. So securing a price now at a higher rate with the forecast or opportunities coming up to refinance, great opportunity for buyers out there. So any questions about this, feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to anybody that has any questions about this. So thank you so much, and I hope to hear from you soon. Take care.